Welcome to my news lore segment where I talk about the latest updates to lore. Today we'll be talking about the Untold Tales post made on April 19th, 2022. This post focuses on one of my favorite genres of Star Citizen lore, spoopy mysteries. The Untold Tales series is kind of like an Unsolved Mysteries, but for the Star Citizen verse, talking about the strange and unexplained events. It adds a lot of depth to the universe, and I hope some of the tales from the series end up being in the game as fun Easter eggs. Before we get started, I want to remind you that if you're enjoying these, please like the video and subscribe for more content. Without you, I couldn't be doing this, so thank you. This Untold Tales episode is about an odd phenomena in the Pyro system. The system itself was discovered by Pyrotechnic Amalgamated in 2493. Soon, the company put all its hopes and dreams into this new discovery. And, as time went on, dangerous conditions of the system proved that choice would become worse and worse. In 2563, deep in a mine in Pyro 2, workers began reporting a mysterious voice. Many miners refused to descend into the mines because of these voices, who the miners were claiming continued to whisper, "Leave or be crushed." One frustrated miner even decided to go looking for the source of the voice, and in his wandering around managed to fall and injure himself. The mining supervisors then ordered the entire mine swept for recording devices or communications equipment, and found nothing. For years, this phenomena continued, only to be dismissed by the supervisors as nothing but overactive imaginations and the way the air moved through the mines. Still, several miners requested transfers because of the voices, believing that they were a warning of an impending cave collapse. The mine would never collapse, but in 2563, the company did. Finally pulled down from the costly choice to build the expensive station around Pyro 6, which still bears the name Ruined Station, for what its construction did to Pyrotechnic Amalgamated. Many believe that this was the true warning of the voices, which soon gained the name the Prophet of Pyro, and this eerie rumor became a ghostly legend. There is no clear evidence of who first gave the phenomena this name, just that by the 27th century, almost 100 years after the fall of Pyrotechnic Amalgamated, the locals commonly referred to it as such. This was proven by comms logs recovered from black boxes found on derelict ships dating back to that period. By then, the voices had already passed into folklore, with several Pyro residents even attempting to find the prophet. Unfortunately, for any intrepid adventurers, there was a slight problem. While we know the prophet was on Pyro 2, we don't know what mine. By the time the story had become legend, all those who had first-hand experience were dead, and the official company records only recorded the complaints from the sector of the planet, which had over 100 mines in it. In the 27th century, many claimed to have received revelations from the Prophet of Pyro, though they were mostly ignored, until an ultra-violent gang called the Abyss were hunting down miners who were scavenging the old mines of Pyro 2 for overlooked deposits. Their leader, a ruthless woman named Utho Fitzhugh, claimed to have heard the prophet during one of these attacks, telling her, "Ruler of Ruin." She was convinced that the prophet had given her a revelation and told her gang that it was their destiny to take over Ruined Station. This would be no easy task, as the Ikubu gang had controlled the main station for decades. Undeterred, she took her prophecy to other gangs in Pyro and rallied them to her cause. In 2678, an alliance run by Fitzhugh assaulted the station and through guile and planning managed to unseat the powerful Ikubu and set her as the ruler of Ruin. This story would further cement the Prophet of Pyro as a semi-divine figure amongst some of the gangs of Pyro. This was illustrated when the Abyss started to prove they were better conquerors than rulers, and Ruined Station was soon up for grabs during a year dubbed by locals as the Fight of Five Gangs. This was when 3 of the gangs claimed to have had the endorsement of the Prophet, proving this folklore was turning into a pseudo-religion. This is where Kiana Richards, an independent investigative journalist, comes in. She's been researching the Prophet for years and is the one who collected the data for this Untold Tales segment. Richards has a theory that the Prophet is actually a unique phenomena, which is linked to solar activity in the system's star and the metals in Pyro 2's mines. She came to this conclusion when she was researching the Fire Rats, a local cult-like gang who used solar flare exposure as part of their initiation rituals. She noted that several go missing during these times of peak solar activity, and that was when she came across a report made by one of the Pyrotechnic Amalgamated techs, which proposed the connection between the metals and the flares. Interviewing many former Fire Rats, she learned that the enlightened of the gang journey to the mines of Pyro 2 to commune with the Prophet during times of high solar flare activity. She believes that the energy is so powerful and the metals so abundant, at the height of these times, the voices of the Prophet might be heard across several mines across the entire planet. This article is fascinating, not only because of the mystery of the Prophet, but because it gives us a glimpse into two things we hadn't seen before: the history of Pyro, post-Pyrotechnical Amalgamated, and a better understanding of the fan-made gang, the Fire Rats. I gotta say, I came into this article expecting a spooky mystery, and came out with gangs invoking divine figures and holy wars. I will do a deeper dive into Pyro as we get more information, but for now this article gives us a good idea of what life is like in the lawless system. Between the solar flares, violent gangs, and cult crusades, Pyro is shaping up to be one wild, weird, and dangerous system. That was Untold Tales Prophet of Pyro from April 19th, 2022. If you like this format and want to see me continue it with future releases of lore, let me know in the comments below. I want to thank those on screen now for continuing to make it possible for me to do this, and if you want to join them, think about becoming a patron yourself by hitting the link in the description. As always, thanks for watching, and remember, Ex Historia ad Astra.